In Vava'u, Tonga, the water is worth its weight in gold. Because the water is home to a very special Tongan. A Tongan who brings the humans together, makes them work together, gives them a shared modern history. People like the scientist.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive animals.
The conservationist.
It's like becoming a member in a spiritual religion.
The Kiwi yachties.
Hot. Well and truly hot.
The motel manager.
The economy is going to go up. It's good.
This is the story of how the water in Vava'u, and more importantly what lives in it, has changed the lives of everyone it touches. Somewhere over the big blue Pacific, Mike Donoghue from the Department of Conservation and Dr. Jen Jackson, a population specialist, are preparing to touch down in Vava'u. Donoghue is heading an Auckland University expedition that's been coming here for 10 years. Neafu is the main town in Vava'u. It's remote, off the beaten track, and like most small Pacific places, it's laid back. The locals are friendly, the lagoons palm-lined, and the dogs seem to have a road sense all of their own. But things are a-changing. People have figured out Neafu's secret, and each year more and more come to find it. They've brought mobile phones and even internet to this town, which every day becomes a little bit busier. Meals here cost as much as they do in the big city. And while there's always lots to do, there's one main reason they come from all over the world, year in, year out. The chance to swim with the Tongan humpbacks.
It was actually moved. This has moved off its foundations in the cyclone. Yeah. Oh wow, look, keep buildings on the waterfront. Oh, okay, so there's the I-4 Centre. They've moved it here, so that's where you'll find Felipe.
Felipe heads the local office of the International Fund for Animal Welfare. He knows the water like the back of his hand, and he knows the whales.
It's an experience you'll never forget. And it's an experience you run out of words to explain. It's like becoming a member in a spiritual religion, to be able to swim and see face to face with the whales. I remember the day I was first swimming with whales. When I was in the water looking in the eye of the whales, I felt like someone pouring a hot water over my head and running down my whole body. I came out of the water with tears in my eyes, and everybody asking what's happening, and nothing, I'm fine. But that feelings I will never forget. And every time I go out and see the whales, I still remember that feeling.
Today, Felipe has agreed to take us out on the research vessel, the Wātea, where he'll be reunited with his good friend Mike Donoghue, who he hasn't seen since this time last year.
We've got one flick in the bag, and we've got another couple of whales here. Hey,
I'm good, mate.
it's really good to see you.
The Wātea is a New Zealand yacht owned by Jan and Trevor Henderson. Years ago, they gave up life on the land for a home on the sea. They volunteered to be part of Donoghue's research after a close encounter with a Tongan humpback.
Well, we were just sailing out here and the whale just came alongside the boat. It was about 30 foot long and it turned on its side and put its flipper right up in the air. And then I hopped down the back and it came around and it just was face to face with me. So it was just incredible. And you were hooked.
Hooked.
Well and truly hooked.
Yeah. It was very emotional. Like, I'd never really thought that something like that would, you know, brought tears to my eyes, basically.
Yeah, we both had tears in our eyes.
Just such an incredible experience, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Their latest adventure is to provide an extra set of eyes on deck.
Here you go.
About 1 o'clock.
Stay on this track. The two lead whales, the one that's in the lead may be a female, the one behind it may be the escort whale, and the ones behind that are trying to probably knock the escort out of the escort position so that they can escort the female and keep other males away, and at some future stage when things calm down, mate with her.
Breeding is why the whales come here each year, why they travel thousands of kilometres from their Antarctic feeding grounds.
We figured it out that a Tongan humpback, if it survives for 50 years, if it comes back to Vava'u every year, goes down to the Ross Sea to feed every year, swims to the moon and back in its lifetime.
Donahue, Jackson and the Watea crew spend 9 days recording every whale, every tail, every detail, every location. Their main aim is to get as many photos of whale flukes as they can, because photos are the only way of truly counting the whales.
Female. Yep.
Say when, Mike.
And the photo ID will tell us a number of things. The first thing it'll tell us, of course, is of the whales we've seen today and we'll see in the next couple of weeks, who are new friends and who are old chums.
Oh, left head, back, and he's coming. But he...
Maybe. Go on.
While they may be old chums, sometimes the whales aren't interested in acting for the camera. So when they go under, the researchers must trade sight for sound. They use a hydrophone dropped into the water. It can pick up any sound in a 30-kilometre radius, but the only sound they're interested in is whale song.
Okay, there we go. We're here. Right, let's go. Oh yeah, wow. We got a singer.
Through the season, the song changes. And we assume that the song is something to do with attractiveness between males and females. Although, of course, if song doesn't work, you resort to the age-old strategy of beat up the opponent until there's one man left standing. One of the really interesting things that we've learned over the last few years by comparing song collected here with song collected in East Australia and New Caledonia and French Polynesia and the Cook Islands is that the new bits come into the song every year, and usually it's song phrases that come from Australia. Basically, the movement of song is from Australia eastward across the Pacific. Presumably, a few of the males that come to Tonga this year will go to Australia next year. They'll learn a new riff, they'll bring it back here, it'll catch on. But it's really interesting because it's an example of cultural exchange. We can learn a lot about relationships between tribes of whales and relationships between breeding grounds across Oceania. And I guess the really important thing to remember is that Oceania, from French Polynesia to New Caledonia, is an enormous area. You know, it is by far the biggest area for humpback whale breeding anywhere in the world. What we have left of all the large whales, including humpbacks in the southern hemisphere, is really a pitiful remnant of what were here in 1800, and in the case of humpbacks, what were here in 1900.
Most of the southern hemisphere humpbacks were nearly wiped out by industrial whaling centuries ago. When you think of whaling, you think Japan, Norway, and Russia. But the Tongans themselves also learned to be pretty good whalers.
And of course in Tonga, on top of the industrial whaling and the damage that did, there was a subsistence whaling. It was a kind of noble thing and a brave thing that people did.
Tongan fishermen, when they kill the whale, they jump on the back, they sit on close to the head, and there's a special axe they used to kill the whale. and then they tie the rope, and the boat will run round and round, make it slowly, the whale gonna die.
My grandfather and father used to hunt whales, and that's as far as I know. Back to 1978, that was the last year of whaling in Tonga, and you know, I remember standing down the wharf with my mother, waiting for my father and grandfathers and some friends, bringing in the humpback whales or sperm whales being killed, and started chop it up in the harbour, and lots of blood, lots of sharks.
They bring it down to close to the wharf, and that's where they cut in pieces. So we all came down with baskets and get what we want to get. It's yummy. We like it, so now we miss it.
But the majority, especially the young generation, definitely want to save the whales. The older folks were the one that, you know, continue with trying to reopen the whaling. The pressure from the Japanese very, very strong. They heavily invested here already. It's an excuse to trying to persuade the Tongan people to start the whaling.
Last year, pro-whaling nations like Japan and Norway received unprecedented support at the IWC in St Kitts.
Delegates at the International Whaling Commission voted 33 to 32 in favour of Japan's resolution.
It's a controversial decision, a victory for Japan and a blow for New Zealand. But it doesn't mean commercial whaling can resume just yet, because the vote was too close.
In Tonga, even those who remember the benefits of whaling are now starting to realise the long-term wealth they have just offshore.
You know, when they come and go watch the whale watch, they pay people. The economy is going to go up. It's good.
There are only 2 places in the world where you can swim with the whales. Tonga is one of them, and it's estimated that a single humpback will inject $1 million into the Tongan economy over its lifetime.
In the long run, it's obviously far better to be protecting whales and having a sensitive, well-managed whale watch industry than it is to be harpooning them, you know. In my view, this is one of the world's great success stories of the economic benefit from protecting whales.
If they started hunting whales, I'm sure that most of the tourists will rather go somewhere else than come here.
How would you feel if that happened?
That's if that will happen, that's when I leave Tonga. You know, I have been in this industry right from the beginning, and I have a heart full of love for these animals that I'll do anything to try and save them.
I can understand the people who come thousands of miles for 10 minutes in the water with a humpback. I'm sure many people's lives have been changed by coming here in the last 10 years, and for the better. They are remarkable animals.